The hour of convening having arrived, all members of the House will please come to the floor and take their seats. All members, I'll ask the clerk to ring the bell. All members will please come to the floor of the House. Well, good morning, everyone. Top of the week to you. We're going to have the call of the roll. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? Now they have, right? Clerk will lock the machines. Doorkeepers will please close the doors and keep them closed. We will have scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. It is my honor to introduce to you the representative from the 21st House District, Chairman Calvin Hill, who will introduce our chaplain of the day. Chairman Hill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And today, it's my honor to introduce you to my pastor, the Reverend Jim McCrae. But first, I think before that, we need to introduce his lovely wife, Lisa, who's standing there. Lisa, if you would. And with her, my wife, Cheryl, whom you all know. But, Reverend McCrae is an Atlanta native, and he's very new to our church. You know, the Methodist church moves preachers around every few years and usually does it in the summer. So Jim just came with us, and we're still getting to know him and Lisa. But I want to tell you something. In the last 6 months, he has doubled the attendance at Canton United Methodist Church, which is already a pretty good-sized church. And that's the kind of vitality that he brings to our community and to our church, and we greatly appreciated it. He's been an Atlanta native and lived around Atlanta most all of his life, but finally he moved up to the north and got into the beautiful edges of the rolling hills as it goes in towards North Georgia and towards places like Blue Ridge. We're about halfway there, but Jim attended Pace Academy, and then he graduated from UGA and earned his BA. But then he started a contracting company and enjoyed being a businessman in the private industry for many years. But finally, the call into ministry was just totally undeniable with him. He entered Emory University and received his master's there from the Candler School of Theology. Reverend Jim has also served in the North Georgia Conference as a pastor at Underwood United Methodist College, or Church, and down in College Park, and then Stockbridge. and now we were lucky enough to get him up in Canton. He's enjoyed the wonderful privilege of serving at each church and now is helping us grow again. Jim is just not a pastor, but he loves fast cars, been around Australia, he's been a pilot. He loves motorcycles and building cars. He enjoys fly fishing, painting, writing, but most of all, he loves to spend his time with his better half, Lisa. She's the only one that can keep him on his toes. I introduce my friend, my pastor, the Reverend Jim McCrae.
Good morning, and Speaker, thank you for having me, and thank you for letting us be here today. It's an honor and a privilege. Calvin, I love you, and you told me to be here, get up at 5 o'clock this morning to be here. I opened the place, and I appreciate it, and I was told that I have 45 minutes, and then, Calvin, you told me it was like church, so I know we'll pass a plate in a little while. So it is a wonderful time. It's a wonderful day, and I thought about all the things I could say to you as a pastor, and then I started thinking about you and what you do and what I do, and I said to myself, it's very similar. We're public servants. We serve. You get paid so much money to do what you do sitting in those chairs, don't you? And as pastors, we do it because we love it, and you do it because you have a passion for what you do as well, to serve where you are and to serve your communities. And I started to think about the glass houses we all live in. I started to think about the decisions you make, the decisions I make, that they are scrutinized by people. There's always somebody that's complaining about something. And you feel that, and I feel that. The church has politics. You do know that, right? And so we navigate through all of those things just as you do. And so I thought there are a lot of similarities as I come to this beautiful place and to speak to you today. And with that, I am reminded of my position at Canton First. I'm reminded that a church that's growing, I would come into a sanctuary filled when I first got there, that people were just pouring into the place, and it was an unbelievable feeling to be able to speak to so many. And I sat there after my third month, after we had such a revival, and as that revival continues, that this was not about me. This was instead God working through me. And that in our places of privilege, in our places that offer privilege, and also a place that offers a chance to serve, I really started to remind myself of things that I needed to be as a leader, and as a spiritual leader, and as a Christian leader, things that you too know that you need to have as a leader within our community and our great state. And this scripture came to mind. I hope you'll open your heart to it, all right? It's from Colossians chapter 3, verse 12. And therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. It's an amazing thing when I stand in front of so many people every Sunday and speak that the one thing I need more than anything else is humility. The one thing that I need more than anything else is to know that it's not me that is doing this wonderful thing in front of these people. Instead, it's God working through me. And when I start to take on that and put on that thing called humility, I understand what it really means to be a servant. I start to look at other people before my own needs. I start to value people before my own value. I start to want to be and reach out to people regardless of who they are and what they are. And that's humility. That's what we need as public servants. Often we read our own press clippings and believe them every single day. I love to hear it when people come to the end of the sermon and say, great job on the sermon, great job on the sermon. I'm like, man, I would love to listen to what you said at lunch. I mean, it just, there are people that they'll smile and say something. It's just not the truth all the time, is it? Humility is something we must put on every single day, because when we start to have humility in how we serve as public servants, and amazing things happens. We look at each other as brothers and sisters, people with different views, yes, people with different ideas, yes, but as brothers and sisters, putting their needs before our needs, putting your constituents' needs before your needs, putting needs of this world before ourselves. That's a powerful feeling. That's a powerful place to serve. Not only humility, I want to just hope you put on one more thing for me: compassion. Compassion is an interesting word, one we might have lost in our world today. Compassion comes when we see somebody in need and we have a feeling that stirs within us, and then we move to help that person. You are charged with that very thing here as you make law and as you decide law for Georgia and what that will look like for people. And I often think about compassion, not if you can just bear with me here for 1 second, I know we're compassionate out in the world, all right? As you are compassionate out in the world, what about in this place? What about in this hall? What about with one another? You know, it's interesting when people talk to me and when we all get lifted high on Sundays and we get that good Jesus feeling and we go out into the world and serve, you know, people come in broken. And I dare say there are people that walk into this place broken. And we tend to look at one another as if, hey man, that person's feeling just like I'm feeling and that person must be okay. And we never know the people that are sitting next to us, the thing that happened to them the day before or the thing that is happening to them in their life. And people, you know what we need more than anything else in this hall and in halls all around this nation and in our churches and in our families is to be clothed with compassion for one another as human beings. And then when we serve through humility and compassion, an amazing thing happens. We become servants, real servants. Did you check out the NFC championship game and the commercial? Did you see the kids as they were saying something very special? John 3:16, for God so loved the world. Did y'all catch that by any chance? And each one had a little part at it. It was wonderful. And then the last kid said, wow. That statement deserves wow. That God so loved the world that much. You know, what you do here today is put on paper, I know, the laws that you'll write, the things that you'll decide. But I'm here to tell you this, that they're not going to remember you by your laws. They're going to remember you by what's written here. And I hope what's written here is humility, compassion. And I hope day by day, the state of Georgia will say, wow, because of it. Let's bow our heads in prayer. Father in heaven, gracious God, today we give you the glory for these men and women, for the service, for the charge, the responsibility. And gracious God, I ask today that you lead them, that you strengthen them, that you guide them. And Father, fill us all with your love, with humility, with compassion as we serve your world. And we ask this always through your Son, Jesus Christ. And in his name we say together, amen. You want to lead us? Yeah. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Thank you, man. God bless.
Doorkeepers will unlock the doors. Chair recognizes the chairman of the Committee on Informations and Audits, the representative from the 109th District, Chairman Davis.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Information and Audits has read and reviewed the journal from the previous legislative day and found it to be correct.
Chairman Davis, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. The clerk will read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day.
Mr. O'Neill of 146, move the following be established. Order of business during the first part of the period of unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions. First reading of reference to bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Reports of standing committees. Third reading passage uncontested local bills. Morning orders. Privileged resolutions through the resolution.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First reading of House bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 815, Representative Kidd, 141st, a bill to be entitled Act to create the Central State Hospital Local Redevelopment Authority.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 816, Representative Flood of 66th, bill to be entitled Act entitled 50, relating to general authority duties and procedure relative to state purchasing.
State institutions and property.
House Bill 817, Representative Nimmer, the 178th, bill to be entitled Act entitled 32, relating to highways, bridges, and ferries.
Transportation.
House Bill 818, Representative Parsons, 42nd, bill to be entitled Act Code Section 48.7, 29.14, relating to income tax credit for clean energy property.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 819, Representative Maxwell, 17th, a bill to be entitled Act Code Section 3376, relating to property insurance.
Insurance.
House Bill 820 by Representative Maxwell, 17th, a bill to be entitled Act entitled 33, relating to guaranteed asset protection waivers.
Insurance.
House Bill 821 by Representative Oliver, the 83rd, a bill to be entitled Act entitled 20, relating to school attendance in elementary, secondary education.
Education.
House Bill 822 by Representative Lindsay of the 54th, bill to be entitled Act entitled 23, Chapter 4, Title 49, relating to equitable remedies and proceedings generally and public assistance.
Judiciary.
House Bill 823 by Representative Welch, 110, bill to be entitled Act to abolish the office of elected county surveyor, Henry County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 824 by Representative Dudgeon, 24th, bill to be entitled Act entitled 20, Georgia Quality Basic Education Act.
Education.
House Bill 825 by Representative Nix, 69th, bill to be entitled Act Code Section 22-751.7, relating to process for students following reporting instances of inappropriate behavior by teachers.
Education.
House Bill 826 by Representative Peake, the 137th, bill to be entitled Act entitled 48, relating to revenue and taxation.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 827, Representative Hembry, the 67th, the bill to be entitled Act entitled 40, relating to serious traffic offenses.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 828, Representative Hembry, the 67th, bill to be entitled Act entitled 40, relating to serious traffic offenses.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 829, Representative Lane, 167th, the bill to be entitled Act by for composition number of state house districts.
Reapportionment.
House Bill 830 by Representative Parent, 81st, the bill to be entitled Act entitled 36, relating to incorporation of municipal corporations.
Governmental Affairs.
House Bill 831 by Representative McCall, 30th, the bill to be entitled Act entitled 34, relating to labor, industrial relations, transfer, division, and rehabilitation services.
Human Relations and Aging.
House Bill 832 by Representative McCall, 30th, the bill to be entitled Act Code Section 214-132.1, relating to Vidalia onion trademark.
Agriculture and Community Affairs.
Through the first readers.
Second reading of House bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
HB 684 by Representative Buckner of the 130th, a bill relating to state parks and recreation areas. HB 805 by Representative Collins of the 127th, a bill relating to retirement and pensions. HB 806 by Roberts of the 154th, a bill relating to the powers and duties of the Department of Transportation, HB 807, by Representative Taylor of the 55th, a bill relating to school attendance in elementary and secondary education, HB 808, by Representative Yates of the 73rd, a bill relating to computation of Georgia taxable net income, HB 809 by Representative Peake of the 137th, the bill relating to elementary and secondary education, HB 810 by Representative Baker of the 78th, the bill relating to general provisions applicable to local governments, HB 811 by Representative Powell of the 171st, the bill relating to management of budgetary and financial affairs, HB 812 by Representative Hembry of the 67th, the bill to amend an act creating Douglas County Board of Education, HB 813 by Representative Hembry of the 67th, a bill to amend an act creating Board of Commissioners, Douglas County. HB 814 by Representative Atwood of the 179th, a bill relating to county sales and use tax. HR 1164 by Representative Williams of the 165th, a resolution recognizing Mr. Clarence Williams Sr. on his outstanding public service, dedicating overpass in his honor. HR 1165 by Representative Gordon of the 162nd, resolution urging the governor and lieutenant governor, should the budget allow for it, to base the Georgia Film Commission in Savannah, Chatham, Georgia. H.R. 1176 by Representative Kidd of the 141st, a resolution to create the House Department of Behavioral Health and Development Disabilities Oversight Committee. H.R. 1177 by Representative Williams of the 113th, a resolution recognizing United States military veterans, dedicating a highway in their honor. Through second readers.
Report of standing committees. The clerk will read.
Representative Coleman, the 97th, Chairman of the Committee on Education, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Education has had the consideration of the following bill. The House direct me to report the same back to the House. Following recommendation, House Bill 706, due passed by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted. Representative Coleman, Chairman. Representative Golick, 34th, Chairman of the Committee on Judiciary and Non-Civil, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Judiciary and Non-Civil has had in consideration of the following bill. The Senate direct me to report the same back to the House. Following recommendation. Senate Bill 231, due pass. Respectfully submitted. Representative Golick, Chairman. Representative Sims, 169th, Chairman of the Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination has had in consideration of the following bills. The House direct me to report the same back to the House. Following recommendation. House Bill 726, 727, due pass. House Bill 804, due pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted. Representative Sims, Chairman. Through the committee report.
House will come to order, please. House will come to order. The chair recognizes the chair of the Health and Human Services Committee, Chairman Cooper, to introduce the doctor of the day. Chairman Cooper.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, members of the House. It's my honor to introduce to you Dr. Benjamin Holton. Dr. Holton is a board-certified emergency medicine doctor. He's one of those guys that takes you when you've had an accident and you hit the emergency room and no one knows anything about you, and they are expected to fix anything that needs to be fixed in that emergency situation. He's also one of the doctors that has benefited from our tort reform that we did a few years ago. He is a graduate of Vanderbilt University, but got smart and came home to Emory to go to medical school, and so it's with pleasure that I introduce Dr. Bolton.
Thank you very much for your service to the people of the state of Georgia, and it's a pleasure and an honor for me to serve you today.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Leslie wants to get a picture.
Okay, we're going on to the local calendar. House will come to order if members want to vote on the local calendar of third reading and passage of uncontested local bills. If there is no objection, we will vote on the local calendar as a whole with a recorded vote. Hearing none, it is so ordered. The clerk will read the local calendar.
House Bill 726, Representative James, 135th, Peach County. House Bill 727, Representative James, 135th, Peach County. House Bill 804 by substitute, Representative Hurd, 114th, Athens, Clark County, through the local calendar.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on the local calendar? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bills? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall these bills now pass? All those in favor of passage of the bills on the local calendar will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members now voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of the bills on the local calendar. The ayes are 141. The nays are 1. These bills, having received the requisite constitutional majority, are therefore passed. For what purpose does Representative McKillop rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move to immediately transmit House Bill 804 to the Senate.
On the gentleman's motion that House Bill 804 be immediately transmitted to the Senate, is there objection? The chair hears none. It is so ordered, and it is on its way. House will come to order. We've got a couple of morning orders. If you have signed up for a morning order, be making your way to the front of the chamber. Chair recognizes for a morning order Representative Jaspers. Representative Jaspers.
There we go. Good morning. We have some very enthusiastic students here this morning from Pickens County who started their day very early to join us. These young people are participating in the Pickens County's Chamber's Youth Leadership Program, and seeing how their government works is part of their education. Joining them are their leaders, Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Godfrey, Chamber Executive Denise Duncan, and Soule County Commissioner Rob Jones. Please join me in welcoming these young people to their house. Hey.
Chair recognizes Chairman Amerson for a morning order. Chairman Amerson.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If I could have your attention. We have in this state an antiquated post-prohibition law requiring 35% of the registered voters to sign a petition before the governing body can even call for a referendum. And with your help, I propose to change that. We have 4 counties up in northeast Georgia that would like to have package stores. Seems like a simple thing that the county commissioners or the city could call for a referendum and let the people vote. But because of this antiquated law, they cannot do that. One of the counties in question is Hall County. That's the home county of the governor and the home county of the lieutenant governor. And the chairman of that county commission would like to have a referendum to let the people vote for package stores in Hall County. However, Commissioner Oliver told me it would take 80,000 signatures, and it would cost him several $100,000 to hire a firm to get those signatures. So I have a bill that would allow the governing body, whether it be a county or whether it be a city, the governing body to call for the referendum if they so choose. And then the people of the county or the people of the city would get an opportunity to vote. If any of you people, the representatives of your counties, representatives of your district, would like to sign on, I would very much like to have you. Let me tell you who've already signed on there, just for kicks. I got Hall County Representative Carl Rogers. I have the only independent representative, Representative Kidd. I have the whip, Representative Lindsay, and the chairman of the Economic Development Committee, Representative Ron Stevens. These people have already signed the bill, and I'd love to have all of you sign this one with me. So if you would, come by and see me at my desk. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I yield the will.
But I'm going to ask them if they would, Mr. Chairman, to hold off just a minute from doing that, because we have another distinguished guest we need to recognize. So you and your bill stay down here for just a few minutes. That completes our morning orders, but I'm going to ask the dean, I guess, of the Cobb County delegation, Chairman Earhart, to introduce a very distinguished Georgian that we're honored to have visiting us here in the House today. House will come to order. Chairman Earhart.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I guess you get the appellation of dean when you spend a few years as the chairman of the Higher Ed Committee. We'll work on the others. It's my great pleasure to introduce my congressman, former member of the Georgia Legislative. He did spend most of his time on the other side of the aisle over there, but it's a great pleasure to be here to introduce who I think is probably one of the better congressmen. Obviously, I'm biased. He represents the district that I've lived in most of my life, and he certainly takes the conservative principles that he always advocated for here in the Georgia legislature, and has taken them to Washington, done a good job. So without any further, my Congressman Phil Gingrey.
I appreciate the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, Representative Earhart, and my friends in the Georgia House of Representatives, thank you for letting me come by and say hello. I go back to Washington tomorrow, and that feeling that my throat starts tightening every time I think about going back to Washington. It's wonderful to be home, even for a short weekend. As Earl said, I served in the Georgia General Assembly just for 4 short years. Back then, my side of the aisle was in the minority everywhere you turned. I was in the Senate, and Quite honestly, when I came over here to visit my Cobb County friends and other friends in the house, your walker treated me better than their walker, if you know what I'm talking about. And I always enjoyed sitting down and listening to the debate, the lively debate that went on in the House of Representatives, and God bless you for that. I love serving in the Congress. All this for me started as a member of the Marietta City School Board. And I think it's apropos that Earl is introducing me as a subcommittee chair, I guess, on approps on higher ed. But that's so important. That is so important. And I know you've got a lot of issues as you discuss in regard to education and how to provide the best for our children, our young people. And I know that's a goal of the governor, a goal of each and every one of you on both sides of the aisle. Let me just say one thing. I said this to the Senate just a few minutes ago in regard to our situation financially. At the federal level, you all know that we're now $16 trillion in debt. We're $16 trillion in debt, more than the GDP, by the way, for the first time in our history, I think, because we don't have a requirement to balance our budget. We had a vote recently, just before the end of the first session of 112, and we didn't get 2/3 majority in the House of Representatives. We certainly would not have gotten it in the Senate. And people would say to us, well, we don't need to really have a balanced budget amendment because we're mature, reasonable, wise men and women, and we can balance our own budget. Well, you know, the last time we had the vote in 1996, and it failed by one vote, a Republican senator from Oregon, I believe, we have raised the debt of this great country by $9 trillion. So much for this business of we have the wherewithal and the ability to balance our budget. We do, but we're not getting it done. So we're going to continue to work on that and try to rein in all this spending. It's the only way to get this country back on its feet, to start growing jobs again. We have to do that in Georgia. You do it. You balance your budget. I know your numbers have gotten a little bit better in regard to revenue, but it's still, I mean, you just have to do it, and you know that, and you know you have a short period of time in which to do it, and you get it done. So I commend you. I commend you for working very closely together. I know the minority leader has provided great leadership in the House of Representatives, and I commend her. Larry, I commend you, another Larry majority leader, on my side of the aisle at this time. But it's just great to be back and say hello and Godspeed to my friends in the Georgia General Assembly. Mr. Speaker, thank you so much.
If you have an announcement and have not signed up, I want to hold that open for about a minute. You need to come see the messenger and sign up if you have an announcement. The clerk will read the captions to a group of privileged resolutions. The clerk will read.
A resolution by Representative Dickerson, the 95th. A resolution recognizing February 23rd, 2012 as 100 Black Women Empowerment Day at the State Capitol. A resolution by Representative Drenner of the 86th honoring and recognizing Richard Ray. A resolution by Representative Brooks, 63rd, honoring the life and memory of Sister Albertha Williams Denise. A resolution by Representative Brooks, 63rd, honoring the life and memory of Maddie Harper Briscoe. A resolution by Representative Watson, 163rd, honoring the life and memory of Raul Salvador Bawelas III. A resolution by Representative Wilkinson, 52nd, recognizing and commending Leadership Sandy Springs on the occasion of its 25th anniversary. Resolution by Representative Guy Singer, 48th, recognizing and commending Colonel Stanley Newcomb Collins Jr., United States Marine Corps. Resolution by Representative Dickerson, 95th, recognizing and commending Bobby Hamby. Resolution by Representative Holt, 112th, commemorating Madison Hardware and Supply. And a resolution by Representative Williams, 89th, recognizing the Greater Atlanta McDonald's Operators Association through the privileged resolutions.
Is there objection to adopting the privileged resolutions? The chair hears none, and the resolutions are adopted. We're still doing business here, and we have some announcements. So I'm going to ask you to come to order if you want to hear the announcements. If you have an announcement, come on down to the front of the chamber. The chair recognizes the chair of the Rules Committee of this House for an announcement. Chairman Meadows.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There will be a Rules Committee meeting at 11:15, and if we're not out of here then, it'll be on adjournment. Thank you.
We will be out of here by then. Chair recognizes Representative Evans for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to let everyone know that the House Democratic Caucus will be having a hearing on the Hope Grant and Hope Scholarship today at 2:30 here in the Capitol, room 230. 2:30 in room 230. We didn't even plan that. Thanks.
Chair recognizes Representative Kendrick for an announcement.
Good morning. The DeKalb delegation will be meeting in room 605 of the CLOB at 12 noon, and lunch will be served, so please join us if you're part of the DeKalb delegation.
Chair recognizes Chairman Sheldon for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There will be a Majority Caucus meeting tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. at 606 CLOB.
Chair recognizes Chairman Sheldon for an amended announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Majority Caucus will meet tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. in 606 CLOB.
I think that completes our announcements. We do have a birthday today. The Chair has honored to recognize and ask you to join with me in wishing Chairman Amerson a happy birthday. Chairman Amos Amerson. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader of the House for a motion.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I move this House now adjourned until 10 a.m. Tuesday, January 31st, 2012.
On the motion of the majority leader that this House stand adjourned until Tuesday, January 30th at 10 a.m., 31st. All those in favor of the motion will please say aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes clearly have it. This House will stand adjourned until tomorrow at 10 a.m.